Welcome to Yahoo Sports Daily. She's Caroline Fenton. I'm Jason Fitz. I always say we have big guests, but like today, we got a guest that's huge, not only in popularity, but also actual life-size. SHAQ going to join the show today. I'm just excited to hang out with SHAQ. We got a lot we're going to get into over the course of the day. I won't do more kitty dancing probably. Let's get right to it. Game 4 tonight in the NBA. All eyes are on New York. We've got Wemby taking on the Knicks, but there's the latest development, and that is the league took a look at the shove scene round the world. The league took a look at this play right here where I keep hearing the word mushed. I didn't know mushed was something other than overcooked veggies, but apparently Jalen Brunson was mushed to the ground. The league has acknowledged it should have been called a foul, but Caroline, not a flagrant. So there's not another tick on the flagrant foul ticker for Wemby. What do we make of it?
Mushed sounds too light and sweet. Jalen Brunson was shoved to the ground. Let's call it what it is. Victor Wembanyama completely extended the entirety of his 7-foot arm and shoved Jalen Brunson to the ground. So did they get it right? No. No, the NBA did not get it right. I mean, even Monty McCutcheon, who's the senior vice president of referee development and training, told Malika Andrews on NBA Today that it should have been a foul. They should have called that a foul. And they didn't call it a foul. So when the highest voice in all of referee land says, yep, they should have called it, yep, that should have been a foul, and then you don't call it a foul, no, you didn't get it right. Anybody with eyeballs can see that what Wemby did wasn't just a foul, but that's a flagrant. That was a flagrant, what we saw from Wemby. Now, that was not right. The NBA did not get it right, but what do we know about the NBA? It protects its bottom line above anything else, above integrity, above what's right, above the rule book. They're going to protect their bottom line. And the bottom line is this final series is far more interesting with Victor Wembanyama in it than not in it. Wemby already has 2 flagrant points. You get 4 flagrant points before you're suspended. The NBA does not want to live in a world where Victor Wembanyama is getting dangerously close to missing time in the finals. So they're not going to call it because they're going to protect their bottom line. Is that right? Absolutely not. But unfortunately, look, it is what it is. Should have been a flagrant, not called a flagrant, and I cannot wait to see the Knicks come back with the thunder of the gods pissed off for Victor Wembanyama not facing any sort of punishment for this.
That's the thing. Fair's where a pig gets a ribbon, not life. I understand that. I don't think this was the fair or right application of the rule. And I guess I would ask, when you look at the images of Brunson being smushed, shoved, pushed, whatever we want to say, if that isn't a flagrant, when you've had the chance to look at it again, what the hell is? If that isn't going to get you a flagrant in review, what does it take? Are we just going to wait until somebody goes full WWE and gives you a suplex or flying off the top rope? Is that what it's going to take? Because you had the chance to review it, you admitted it should have been a foul, but you went just shy of allowing it to be a flagrant because you're protecting your face. You're protecting Wemby. Fine, I understand it. But now be careful what you've wished for because you have opened Pandora's box. To me, the biggest part about this that we're going to see is tonight, we're going to see a message sent by the Knicks. The Knicks have had a couple of days to stew on it. They've seen it over and over and over again. The league didn't take care of business. So what do we hear all the time? If you won't take care of it, I will. Vigilante justice is going to be part of the early theme of this game. I would be stunned if we don't see hard foul after hard foul after hard foul early in this game on Wemby just to send a message. And frankly, I think you kind of need that. If Brunson is getting pushed around like that and nobody is stepping up to defend him, that stuns me. That stuns me for a Knicks team that, frankly, has the bodies, has the physicality, has the ability. San Antonio has been pushing the line over and over and over again between what's physical basketball and what's out of control, right? They've been doing it, and they've been getting away with it in this series because the refs are letting it play that way. I'm fine with that. I am fine with that. But you have to, at some point, accept that if that's the way you're going to call it, if you're not going to turn these things into flagrants, what you're really doing is you're sending the Knicks a message. We're not going to take care of it. When you send the Knicks that message, you know what they're going to do? They're going to take care of it themselves. I think tonight, the refs are going to have a hell of a time on their hands trying to figure out how to keep this game under control because the Knicks are going to be looking to send a message to Wemby, which means the Spurs are going to be looking to clap back to that. And all of this just got worse because the league did nothing about it.
And I think it's all made even worse by the fact that Jalen Brunson himself was issued a flagrant after he kind of turned his back on Julian Champagny mid-shot. So it is so clear and so clearly and so obviously just poor officiating on behalf of the NBA that when all Brunson did was turn his back and Champagny rolled his ankle a little bit, that's a flagrant. But Wemby shoving him to the ground isn't. Now, look, I don't have any sort of rooting interest in this series. All I'm rooting for is for 7 games because this series has been so much fun. I'm not a Knicks fan. I'm not a Spurs fan. I'm just a sports fan. And I always believe that officiating giveth and officiating taketh away, whether it's in an individual series or for your specific team. So just call it like you see it. Just call it consistently. I think that's all any of us could ever ask for. But I think Mitchell Robinson, Cat, they're gonna come out in game 4 and be like, I'm Batman. Like they're gonna take matters into their own hands. They're gonna say, if you are not going to govern this game, then we will govern this game. You mentioned it. We'll talk to SHAQ later in the show, and I'm excited to get his reaction to, or maybe his thoughts on, as a big man, how you kind of approach this kind of thing. But I'm shocked. No, I'm not. I'm not shocked that the NBA did not issue a flagrant toward Wemby, and I think that's kind of the problem with it, right?
Yeah, well, you're right. But that's because I think we both accept the reality of business, which is Wemby needs to be on the floor because this
Yeah.
is no longer a case of will Wemby become Wemby's the face of the NBA. Like, let's just stick a fork in that conversation.
Yeah.
It's done. Any debate show over the next 4 months that's debating who's the face of the NBA is disingenuous at best. The face of the NBA is Victor Wembanyama. There is no doubt about it. That being said, I also think that the more and more this all goes with Wemby, the more stunning it becomes to me that it just feels like Wemby is going to be the hero no matter what. We've watched Wemby elbow somebody this playoffs. We've watched Wemby take a grown man and throw him to the ground this playoffs. And all it does is make people seem to love him more. Like in the hierarchy of what's going to happen to Wemby over the course of the next 10 years, it's so clear to me that he's going to be the hero, not the villain, because we treat all of these things that he's doing that we would fault other players for doing the same thing. With Wemby, we're like, oh, he's like Kobe. He's got that competitive fire, right? Like we are taking everything that he's doing that some players would do the same thing and it would be seen as a negative, and we're turning it into a positive because everybody just freaking loves the guy.
I don't know though. There is absolutely truth to Wemby has that Kobe gene in him. Wemby has that, that gene in him that he's relentless. All that matters is winning. But I feel like after that Brunson shove, and especially not even being issued a flagrant, I do feel like the NBA world is starting to turn against Victor Wembanyama a little bit. I do feel like the basketball world is like, wait a minute, is this guy, I'm not gonna call him a dirty player, but is this guy playing dirty? Because I get that Wemby is the face of the league. Wemby is the league golden boy. And I don't have a problem with that. I think the sooner that you acknowledge that certain players get different treatment is the sooner that you see and can call these things out and not be outraged by it, but frankly just expect it. But I don't think that we treat Wemby any differently. I think Wemby's just treated differently by the league. I think more and more people are kind of seeing the way that Victor Wembanyama kind of goes about his business. I don't necessarily have a problem with it, but I do kind of have a problem with how the league treats him differently.
I see, and I don't think it's just the league. I think it's the fans too. Look at this. We got that. We got. I totally
I don't
forgot about
think
this.
so.
We got Wemby here calling out. What did Wemby call the code red? We don't know. Wemby elbowed somebody. Wemby shoved somebody to the ground, and I don't hear this overwhelming. Wemby is out of like if Draymond had done the exact same things that Wemby did. Oh my God, we'd be calling for an absolute execution. Like everybody be turning around. Oh my God, you can't have that kind of play. But when Wemby does it, there is no blowback. Like I don't feel, at least, and maybe I'm living in a bubble on social media, but my bubble on social media isn't sitting here saying, maybe Wemby's dirty. But those individual things stacked together through this one playoff does at least raise the question of maybe Wemby's a little dirty.
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the basketball public, at least on social media, starting to kind of call things out. whether it's the Nas Reed elbow, whether it's, what we saw in game 3 on Jalen Brunson, whether it's the special treatment, let's call it like it is. It is special preferential treatment by the league. I am starting to feel some pushback from it. And, yes, the Draymond situation is different. Like the Draymond, Dylan Brooks, the way that we react to anytime they do anything, anytime they just slightly color outside the lines, it is total and complete outrage. Because we've seen those two players, physical players, players that aren't afraid to fight back. We've seen them do that time and time and time again, year over year over year over year on the biggest stages. This is the first time that we're even kind of getting a taste of Victor Wembanyama on the national stage. So the longer and longer that we see Victor Wembanyama over time, over the next, we feel like he got 3 years of Wemby, and a lot of that time in the first 3 years he was hurt. So I think the more and more that we see Wemby do these kind of things over time, year over year, it'll start to become that kind of reputation that Draymond Green and Dylan Brooks built over time.
Well, and while we're invoking the name of Draymond in comparison to the actions of Wemby, let's acknowledge maybe the Knicks needed Draymond. Draymond was on with KOC, and this is interesting because as he hung out with Kevin O'Connor, Draymond Green said if Wemby did to Steph what he did to Brunson in Game 3, he would have been thrown out. He said, quote, he pushed him down and none of the guys on the Knicks teams did anything. No, not for 1 second think that didn't matter. That does speak back to all of this. Like, this series has been incredibly physical. This series has been, and I love it. I love every ounce of it. Like, as somebody that grew up watching 90s basketball, I love the physicality of this series. I love the way that they're confronting each other. I love the violence that they're playing with. I happen to think that makes for beautiful basketball. But I do think you've got to have somebody for certain guys, like in the NHL. I grew up a hockey fan, right? Like in the NHL, there were guys on rosters that just existed to enforce. All right, you go after my best player, we're going to send this guy out on the ice and he's going to kick your ass. Like, I just need to see that. I need to see Draymond level fire out of somebody from the Knicks, because I do think at some point you've got to send the message of, hey, not today, not here, not that way, not in my arena, not against my superstar. All of these messages that this Knicks team, for as much as they're supposed to be the identity of New York, part of the identity of New York is standing up for each other, fighting for each other, bonding together. None of the Knicks did that in this moment for Jalen.
Which is kind of shocking. And to hear Draymond say it, it really put into perspective for me of, yeah, when you are a big, that's your job. It's to kind of protect your guy, protect your team leader, protect the foundation of your squad. That's exactly what Jalen Brunson is for the Knicks. So for Kat or Mitchell Robinson to not really kind of retaliate was kind of surprising to me. I expect to see it tonight, but I also think the NBA needs to be really careful what they wish for. Because once players start to take, governing into their own hands, that's when you start to see physicality go from, whoa, this is a really fun, highly contentious matchup, to these guys are going to get hurt. And in game 3, we saw that. A large reason why that Wemby shoving Jalen Brunson to the ground wasn't called was because Cat was hand fighting, and because there was, physical back and forth, mano-y-mano kind of fights happen, not fights necessarily, but just physicality happening on the court, and all the other refs were distracted and they didn't see it. So this has already been a matchup with a lot of friction. This has already been a matchup that's been super physical. This has already been a matchup between two very defensive-minded, gritty teams. When you start to get players that, have targets on their back, like Wemby, I'm sure probably will tonight, now more than ever throughout this series, that's when you start to get to a point where, like, no, this is just dangerous. That now the integrity of this series is in question because players are absolutely gassed or getting hurt because, someone's got a target on their back.
Yeah, I saw Amon Shumpert on ESPN was asked if the league got it right in not upgrading it to a flagrant. And he said, yeah, it's not the league's job. It's our job on the floor to police that. I don't know that that's what the NBA really wants in this game. I don't know that they want everybody coming in and policing that themselves, because it could get out of control. Plenty more to come, including, in case we haven't mentioned it, SHAQ in just a little bit. But coming up from a Game 4 about to happen to a Game 4 already in the books, the best Stanley Cup final ever gave us another instant classic. We'll tell you about it next.
What about the pre-fight talk? Do you feel like there should be a line?
I mean, can we look at it like comedy? I think that would be
You
awesome.
think that would be better? Even
well,
if you're
I
talking
think
about
if everyone-
moms and stuff.
I mean, that sucks if someone did, you know? Like,
yeah. Okay.
I think, like, building up to it, like, if you and I were standing across from each other and we were going to fight, you'd probably say a bunch of stuff you really don't mean. You kind of let it go after 5 rounds in a ring with someone.
I mean, yeah, everyone loves to bring up all the pressure and tell me about the pressure. And I'm used to it. Like, I've lived like this for quite some time now. For me, I just try to do my best to live in the moment. I wouldn't trade what I do for the world. So this is exactly where I want to be. And I just try to take it head on and enjoy every experience. I got a wonderful team and family behind me. And that's all that really matters.
What did you learn about LeBron when you were out there on the golf course with him?
I learned he's just like the rest of us out on the golf course. He loves the game. He caught the bug somewhere along the line, and just like all of us, all he wants to do is play golf. I think Bronny's probably a little ahead of him in his game, and I think that's probably messing with him a little bit. I think he can't wait to maybe even the playing field there. But yeah, I mean, he's talking about equipment. He's just like every other guy, kind of working all week to be able to play golf on the weekend.
Orlando, 1 timeout left, but the game comes down to this right here. 4 feet away from the goal line in the win. It's DeLorme to throw, near side, pass caught over the wall.
That's a touchdown.
He caught it over the wall.
Touchdown from
Touchdown, Orlando! A walk-off win. As dramatic of a finish as you will ever find, and a walk-off for the Pirates.
Wow, what a finish in Orlando.
The all-new 2026 Soccer Pick'em is here just in time for the world's biggest soccer tournament. You can make picks for each round. You can earn points. You can climb the leaderboard. Who doesn't love that? You can play solo. You can create a private group with your friends. You can join a public group to play with other fans, or even join our Yahoo sports group to see if you can beat me and my team. I doubt it. By the way, if you're looking for the team name, it is spectacular. Fitzy's Footballers. Oh, I'm in love. All right, join us at yahoofantasy.com/soccerpick'em. That's yahoofantasy.com/soccerpick'em. We will be covering plenty of the World Cup to come over the course of the entire tournament for the world's biggest soccer tournament. All right, Carolyn Fenton, let's get into it. While we can't wait on soccer's biggest stage to get here, hockey continues to live on that biggest stage. Give us the unbelievable Stanley Cup final we didn't know we needed last night. 5-3. I was sitting there screaming at my TV for the duration of it. 4-3, a miraculous, an incredible empty net goal turns it to 5-3. The first time in this series that it wasn't a 1-goal game. I'm looking at all of this and just looking at yet again another instant classic. It feels like we're getting a Stanley Cup final for the ages.
This does feel like, and I don't want to be a prisoner of the moment. I don't like recency bias, but this feels like this is one of the best, if not the best, Stanley Cup final series that we have ever seen. Second only to, obviously, the St. Louis Blues winning in 2019. Everybody agrees with me there. But the fact that these games have been so back and forth, the fact that a 2-goal lead has never been safe in this series, even last night, Carolina was up 2-0 in the first period. Then they get a commanding 3-1 lead in the second period and going into the third. And then they all of a sudden they just blow it. And it's tied 3-3 in the third. And it's like, wait, what in the world just happened here? So the fact that every single game has come down to the wire. We've had 2 overtime games. One of them was double overtime. Last night's game came down to the final couple of minutes. And it did feel very anticlimactic last night that the empty netter, they were just zooming in on the puck slowly but surely, making it way into the empty net, and the whole place just exploded. Nice little insurance goal for Carolina there. But this series has been weird. It's been wonky. It's been high scoring. Like, I don't know what the over-under goal total has been in this series, but if it's anything under like 8.5, then Vegas is just losing money because all of these games have been so incredibly high scoring. We haven't necessarily had great goalie play, but that almost plays into how fun these games have been. We saw Carolina make a change. They saw Carolina make a change in game 3. They rode Brandon Bussey, their backup goaltender, into game 4. He gets the win last night. We're seeing players like Jordan Stahl and Mark Stone, who are, 114 years old, kind of having these massive moments in this series. So, I mean, we could wax poetic for like 30 to 45 minutes, Fitzy, about all of the fascinating and great storylines, not just from the game last night, but from the entirety of this series. There's so much to fall in love with, I think, about this series.
Yeah, and it's been so much different than anyone expected. These were two teams known in many ways for their defense. We expected a grinded out series. It's been the exact opposite of that. And to me, I've been watching the Stanley Cup since I was a kid, right? My dad used to get VHS tapes in the summer to get sent to the house, and we'd sit down and we'd watch the entire Stanley Cup playoff because we didn't have it where we lived at the time. We watched the entire playoff just to watch Gretzky go through it, right? So when we talk about greatest finals, I remember watching Edmonton versus the Flyers. I remember how significant that was. I remember how significant watching the Rangers win in the mid-90s was. There have been some incredible moments in the Stanley Cup final that you just never forget. For me, this one has been so much different and better because it's been different than we expected, and it's been so explosive. Goals have come in bunches. So you never feel like you can really relax because you could be up 3 goals and then all of a sudden you blink. And then you also have just the number of goals that haven't counted, which has been an electric part of the storyline. Vegas last night, as the clock hit 0 at the end of the first period, a puck went in the net, but it crossed over just after it hit 0, which means the goal didn't count, which is the 3rd goal in the last 2 games that was in the net that didn't count. These are the dramatic moments that you just remember from a series. So you're seeing unexpected performances from old guys that have been around the league for a very long time. You're seeing dynamic, just incredible pace from two teams that might not necessarily have been known for that. And you're seeing just absolute epic endings every single time. When the goalie's out, when they pull the goalie and they've got the extra skater, you can't relax. Seeing last night with an empty net goal, which is such a common part of the way hockey games ended, felt uncommon for this series because you just expected something unprecedented. That's why I think everybody's gravitating towards this. It's the crowds, it's the ambiance, it's the environment, but it's also just the fact is the drama has lived up to the hype every single step. That's why for me, this is by far the best Stanley Cup final I can ever remember. And I don't know what to do, Caroline, with the fact that I made this comment on Twitter last night. I feel like the beginning in games, like when you go to see an action movie and something blows up before you even get the opening credits, that's everything in here. Like we had 2 goals in the first 2 minutes of this game, which keeps happening over and over and over again. I think that's part of it. Like there's this electricity that brings you in. We both covered Stanley Cup finals before. There's an electricity that brings you in when there's immediate goal scoring in bunches.
I have not been lucky enough to cover a Stanley Cup final because teams that I've covered have not been good enough.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry. The Preds went to the Stanley Cup final when I was covering them. Thank you.
I covered a lot of coaches and GMs getting fired in the NHL. So, I mean, you're two opposite ends of the same spectrum, I guess. That's super fun as well. There is a different level of electricity. There's a different level of physicality. There's obviously a different level of stakes when it comes to the Stanley Cup final. I think the Stanley Cup final is more unique to its sport than any other finals series in professional sports. It feels more unique than, not necessarily better, but it's just different than the NBA finals or how the Super Bowl feels to the rest of the NFL postseason. And I can't really explain why. Like, I just can't really, put an actual word to it. You just feel it. When you know it, when you've been in the building for one, when you're watching it, time and time again, year over year, you just get it and you just understand it and you just feel it. And this series has delivered that kind of feeling to a different level. And this feels like a series, even from the very beginning, this felt like a series that was going 7 games. This feels like a series that truly could be decided by a coin flip. This could be a series that could go 15 to 20 games. And if this series went 20 games, if these two teams played 20 times, I think the record would be 10-10. Like, that's how evenly matched these teams are, and that's fun to watch. But that also brings up so many questions about, decision making and how each moment matters so much in an individual game because the margins are so razor thin. And I mentioned it, Brandon Bussi got the start last night in net over Freddie Anderson, who has been their goaltender in Carolina all season long. Freddie Anderson got pulled in game 3, gave up 4 goals in game 3. He gets pulled, Brandon Bussi comes in, and he almost won. Like, he could have won that game for Carolina in game 3. He gets the start in net in game 4. Was he flawless? Not by any means. Was he an elite goaltender? Absolutely not. He still gave up 3 goals and a couple of them late in that game, which is why things got really interesting last night. But if I'm Rod Brind'Amour, and this is a discussion that we had, after game 3 going into game 4, and I think it comes up again after game 4 going into game 5, Rod Brind'Amour was asked about what he wants to do in net in game 5, and he was very non-committal. But Fitzy, if I'm Rod Brind'Amour, I'm going to use the term hot hand. Even though I wouldn't necessarily call Brandon Bussi giving up 3 goals hot, he's the guy who's been able to win you some hockey games. He's a guy who's been able to at least give you a shred of stability. And I don't think either of these goalies, whether it's Carter Hart or Freddie Anderson or Brandon Bussi, none of those goalies are going to win you this series. We can see goaltenders get hot and steal playoff series, steal Stanley Cup finals. None of these goalies are going to do that. But the question is, who can at least give you enough stability that you can just trust your skaters to take care of business? I would say that's Brandon Bussi for me.
Yeah, it is interesting. You're right. I can see where none of these goalies are likely to win you the game, but they could lose you the game. And the goaltending in this series is very reminiscent to basketball defense in the NBA, where we think of defense as like a score's got to be in the 70s. The real question in the NBA isn't, do you play great defense the entire game? It's, can you get a stop when you need it most? Can you get that one stop when you need it most? Much like running the football in the NFL. It's not always about running it all the time. It's about, can you get the runs? Can you run effectively when you absolutely need to run the football? Can these goalies come up with the biggest stops when they have to have them? The Bussi portion of this is difficult for me because Vegas they struggled early on to get shots on net, which has been a theme for this entire playoff. They don't get shots on net in the first period at all. They're getting skated around. Carolina's too fast for them. In the second period throughout the course of this series, Vegas is plus 14 in the second period. That's a historic level plus minus in any series in Stanley Cup history for one period, because for whatever reason, things click for Vegas. It's funny to me because Bussi gets the win, but he wasn't really challenged for a lot of this game. Vegas took a long time to get a bunch of shots up. I don't know what the right answer is. And frankly, I don't know what the right answer is for Carter Hart on the other side. Stressing here, we're only talking about Carter Hart, the goalie. And Carter Hart, the goalie, is now the first goalie in NHL history to give up 4 goals or more in each of the first 4 games of a series. Like, this is abysmal. But also, there have been very few goals that I've seen Carter Hart give up that have been like, oh, man, Carter Hart's got to be better. Like, the game-winning goal last night, in essence, was Jordan Staal diving as he's out of position with the stick barely touching the puck. We're seeing it here. I don't know what you do against that. I don't know how you stop what happened. There were 2 defensive breakdowns all in one play that put Carter Hart in a bad situation where he gave up the game-winning goal. But I can't put that on Carter Hart. So it's funny to me because I don't think either goalie, any of the goalies, I should say at this point, for either team have really been spectacular. The question is, who can get you the stop when you absolutely have to have it? I don't know that I trust Carter Hart to do that. I don't know that I trust anybody to do that.
I definitely don't trust Carter Hart to do it. I mean, Carter Hart's the first goalie in Stanley Cup final history to give up 4+ goals in each of the first 4 games of a Stanley Cup final. Like, that's brutal. I hear you on that one individual goal that you can't put that all on the shoulders of the goaltender, but Carter Hart has not been great the entirety of this series. Carter Hart has not been trustworthy the entirety of the series, but I wouldn't necessarily put a whole lot of eggs in any of these goalies' baskets. If you can't trust your goalie to win you a game, how much can you trust your goalie not to lose you a game? And at this point, I don't trust, if I'm Vegas, I don't trust Carter Hart to not lose us a game. But you brought up Jordan Staal. I mean, Jordan Staal's 37 years old. And I don't know, frankly, if Jordan Staal's come out and said, this is my last year, I would believe that this is probably his swan song. 37 years old, you're playing in a Stanley Cup final. Whether you win or not, whether you hoist Lord Stanley's Cup or not, this feels like the right time, the career high to go out on. Jordan Staal feels like, have you seen the movie Waterboy, Fitzy?
Of course.
Yeah, there's that scene where the 2 guys in the booth are like, last game of the year, can't hold anything back now. And he says it over and over and over again. And the other guy's like, yeah, no, we get it. That's how it feels like Jordan Staal has been approaching this series. The Jordan Staal is like, you know what? Screw it. Like, last game of the year, last time of my career, last ride. I'm putting it all out there on the ice because I'm going to go out, I'm going to retire, and I'm going to put all of this behind me and know that I left every single blood, sweat, and tear out there on the ice in the Stanley Cup final. And it is very, very fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, John Tortorella, the coach of Vegas after the game, said Stahl's just killing us, especially in front of the net. You think? I mean, we know it.
Yeah.
Everybody knows it, but Vegas hasn't been able to figure it out. There are there could be 3 games left. We hope, as fans of what we're seeing so far, that we get all the hockey we possibly can. 2 of the next 3 games, if we get to 7 games, will be in Carolina, which means absolutely the Hurricanes. That fan base is going to have a chance to really impact the series. We'll keep you updated on what looks like it's going to be epic. But speaking of epic, coming up next, the man, the myth, the legend, the giant, SHAQ joins Yahoo Sports Daily.
Rubido's going to have to stand in there. He's going to take a lot of big hits because they're going to give up pressure.
Fake handoff from the 3, launches, got a man deep, caught, touchdown, New Mexico, Demond Street with the answer.
Let's watch, there's Rubido gets drilled and just, I mean, poorly timed on the defensive play by or Decius. Decius jumps and the ball's not even there yet, but a great play though for New Mexico.
Honestly, do you think you could have continued? Do you think if there was a minute left in the fight, you would have been okay? Meaning, sorry, a minute left in the round, not the end of the round.
So if you look back at it, I got the uppercut. No, for the people that know my fights, I've been dropped multiple times in different type of fights, in championship fights. And what I do is I get back up, and no matter how much time is left on the clock, I get back up and I end up winning.
What's it mean to you to see your squad still celebrated and embraced like this 40 years later?
It's pretty crazy, to really still see this, and they haven't been in the winning circle since 40 years. It's time that they put it together. 40 years of what this team that I played with, this is like the best team I played on in 86. I played on the 98 Yankees too, but this team here was a team that you just didn't want to mess with.
Felix Harper, 7 of 11 in the first half. The efficiency has been the name of the game for him so far this season. Handoff left side, down the near boards, open space, and JT Stokes in for the touchdown for Fishers. And JT Stokes get a carry off the left side on the first play from scrimmage in the second half and houses it.
Victor Wembanyama in his first 3 NBA Finals games, 29 points, 9.7 boards, 3.3 blocks. First player since SHAQ in 2001 to open the NBA Finals games 1 through 3 with at least those averages. Speaking of, joining us now ahead of Game 4 tonight, you laugh with him on Inside the NBA. He's a Hall of Famer, 3-time Finals MVP, 4-time champion. He's got the G14 classification we need to break down Wemby's Game 3 performance. SHAQ, you are the person to answer this. How impressive is Wemby to Shaquille O'Neal?
First of all, I'm not the person that hold the crown of what it takes to be a dominant big man. See that? That is the crown.
Tiny crown? Tiny crown?
It's a beautiful crown.
Right. This right here is the crown on how to be a dominant big man. Chuck and I, we have this conversation all the time on what needs to be done. And, but Chuck always falls into, well, he's not you. I don't need him to be me. I need him to have that mentality. Last night he came up with the mentality, and, he's putting up some good numbers. And the crazy thing about those numbers, I don't really think he had a great game 1 and 2, but yesterday's game, if he can continue to do that and tie up the series, it will get very, very interesting.
Honestly, SHAQ, I hope it does get interesting because these first 3 games have been way too good for it to just end in 5. I feel like we as basketball fans, we deserve 7 games of this series. But Wemby was able to absolutely go off in the Garden with a packed house, the president in the house, all of the security, all the pomp and circumstance. You know what they say? Like the old saying is, hey, series doesn't start until the home team wins a game at home, right? That's at least how this series has gone. What have you seen from what have you seen from both of these teams to be so dominant and find ways to win on the road?
They're playing really physical. They're playing great defense. They're playing something that's called the Papa Greg defense. Greg Popovich. He has a system with the Spurs, and they play well. They're kind of like coddling up the defense, and they're just doing great things. And they're just having fun out there. And the Knicks, if you have a 10, 15-point lead going into the fourth quarter over the Knicks, they always know how to fight back because they have the best closer in the game in Brunson. But yesterday's game was a fun-filled event. A lot of superstars was there, and it was actually popping. It was loud. The Spurs did a great job of neutralizing the crowd, and this game tonight will be very interesting.
I mean, nobody knows how to stop Wemby. Take me back, like SHAQ in his prime. How would SHAQ in his prime defend Wemby?
Wemby would be barbecue French fries. Don't ask that question. Wemby is a little too light in the kicks for the diesel. Stop it. It's not my time right now. Next question, please.
Very well said. We saw at one point in the postseason, we saw Wemby knock Naz Reid in the neck. And in game 3, we saw Wemby throw Jalen Brunson down to the ground.
Yeah.
Is Wemby becoming a villain?
No, he's not a villain, but as a big guy, you gotta let these little guys know you can't put your butt in my knees, try to cause injury, and you're not gonna box me out. It's not gonna happen. So, I like winning by force. I don't like winning by tactics. I don't like a little guy hitting a big guy and the big guy falling and flopping, trying to get the call. If the ref not gonna call it, handle it yourself. So, some people could see it's a dirty play, but sometimes as a big guy, you have to make your mark. Because you little guys think you can walk the earth amongst the giants, and you can't. Especially you up top. Especially you up top with your pretty Vidal Sassoon hair.
Thank you.
Looking all beautiful.
Thank you. You know what? I'll take that. I'll take that all day, every day. No, but stick on the physicality for a second, because after game 3, I heard everybody yelling about the officiating. Do you have any problem with the way that this series has been officiated?
It's been fair. I can remember one time I was complaining about the referees, and I was tearing the locker room up. And Phil Jackson put his hand on my chest and said, "Champions don't complain," and walked out. And I was saying to myself, what the hell are you talking about? And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to complain. I'm going to just go play. They call it, they don't. If they call it, cool. If they don't, they don't. I'm going to just play. And I'm going to just beat you by force. So, Knicks have to play. And listen, I was like this as a player. When things aren't going good, you got to blame somebody. Like, it doesn't matter if you shot 5 for 20. Oh, the ref is somebody else's fault. And that's not the attitude of a champion. So hopefully they bounce back.
Did you take issue with Mike Brown calling out the officiating after game 3?
It's not my job to say I take issue with it. I just know champions never complain. And I'm a 4-time champion, so I think I have G14 classification to tell you what our champion thinks, the mindset of a champion. We don't complain. We just go get it.
So let's walk through that champion mindset. We're going to put up some greatness on the screen. Okay, you played against David Robinson. You battled against Tim Duncan. Now you get to cover Wemby. Start, bench, cut. Those 3 guys, SHAQ. You can only pick one. You got to start, bench, cut. David Robinson, Tim Duncan, Wemby.
We'll start Tim Duncan. David Robinson is next. I got to cut Wemby.
Why are we cutting Wemby?
Because I can.
Touche. That's a fair point.
Tim Duncan's the greatest power forward ever. Dave Robinson is my idol. I am who I am because of Dave Robinson. So I'll definitely not cut him. And Wemby's 22, so he can cut. He can go play in the G League for a couple of years and then come back.
I have a good feeling he'll be able to make his way back.
Yes.
But Wemby was obviously the biggest reason why San Antonio was able to win game 3. But Stephon Castle was also huge for San Antonio in game 3 as well. If he keeps this up as an elite partner next to Victor Wembanyama, does he remind you most of Wemby's version of Penny, Wemby's version of D. Wade, or Wemby's version of Kobe?
I don't want to exclude all the others that are playing well. That kid Harper is serious. I don't want to exclude him. So I would just say San Antonio others are playing well. They remind me of that 94-95 Rockets team that swept me You got one superstar in the Cuban Lajon, and then you got some fierce others. They got some nice players around them. Harper is, Castle is good, Champagne. I'm waiting for Kelvin Johnson to step up a little more, 6th man of the year, but I don't want to just, talk about Castle and exclude all the other guys when they're playing so well. But that Harper, he's a problem.
So walk me through momentum, because New York hadn't lost in 46 days. Now they take an L. What does that do for both sides in your mind?
I mean, it'll get you refocused. It's only a couple of teams that can put up a streak like that, and I think I'm 15-1, the Warriors 16-1. But when you lose, you just got to get refocused. You just got to get refocused and just try to, because you got to understand, the streak is not the prize. The streak is a snack. The prize is we want to be world champions. So it matters, but it doesn't. It matters more to the media. Oh, they're the best team since the Lakers and Warriors. That has nothing to do with anything. We want to win this championship. So again, I don't have a dog in the fight. May the best team win.
We see Jalen Brunson up there on the screen, who's been, so instrumental to the Knicks' run here. But Cat has really leveled up his play so far in the postseason. I feel like we're seeing a different Cat that we've seen all season long. We're seeing a different Cat than I think we've ever seen. What has led him to get to this point, especially shutting down Wemby for a large part of the first 2 games?
Cat has been playing very focused basketball. I see 2 different Cats. I see somebody that's a floor general, getting people involved, and when he needs to put his head down and score some points, he's been doing that. Can I give you 2 a compliment?
Yeah.
I do a lot of sports shows. You guys are so professional, and you ask some really good questions. I wish you guys.
Thanks, SHAQ.
You guys ever need anything from me, I love you guys. I'll do it. I appreciate you guys. This is really funny.
That means a lot to both of us. That means everything. Part of the reason you're with us is to talk about moderate OCA, obstructive sleep apnea. And you're using Zepbound.
Right. OSA. See, you know what?
Look at that. You paid me a compliment. I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle the moment, SHAQ. I was there. I had it. I was wide open, had the moment, and I blew it. Moderate OSA, obstructive sleep apnea. You're using Zepbound as treatment. Why? What's it doing for you?
Man, so let's talk about how moderate to severe OSA is serious, but it's an overlooked condition. I think it affects about 24 million people in the U.S., many with obesity. And Zepbound is the first and only prescription medicine, that helps with moderate to severe OSA in adults with obesity.
You're also here on behalf of Lilly. Tell us a little bit about your partnership with them.
Yes, I am a spokesperson to Lilly, and I want to help people get aware, because, like I said, moderate to severe OSA affects about 24 million people aware. So get with your doctor, make sure it's right for you.
SHAQ, it's an honor to get to talk to you, man. We're huge fans of your work. Obviously, you crush it. You're a legend for a reason. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for everything you're doing to bring awareness to moderate OSA, but also thanks for all the NBA insight. We appreciate you.
I don't like you, but I love your hair.
That's perfect. I'll take it. I'll take it.
That's fine.
Thanks, SHAQ. All I know is SHAQ said I'm pretty. That's the real takeaway. What's the real takeaway for Brendan Sorsby? We'll figure it out next.
There's the toss to Kerrigan. He is destroyed at the 2-yard line.
Yeah, and a great effort by Carson Taylor, defensive end. He makes Kerrigan really have to get wide here, and then good pursuit by the rest of the defense.
Arizona down by 3. Snap to Myler. There's the give to Clark. Open space, hurdles a defender, and he's tackled at the 17.
What's the difference between your show and their show?
I'm going to say we have the superior talkers because I'm on the show, and nobody's a better talker than me in all of professional wrestling, and that's just a fact. We just feel really special, and we feel very distinct, and I think the biggest reason why, more than anything else, is because when I'm watching All Elite Wrestling, I don't feel like I am watching somebody play a character.
My take on college football is it's always a regular season sport to me. It will always be a regular season sport. That is the beauty of college football. And we've put too much emphasis on the playoff, that taking this playoff and expanding it, you take what college football is and you dilute it. And you take that regular season and you're going to have load management in college football late in the year. Like, you don't want that. I think the people pushing for this are not the people who care about the well-being of this sport and like appreciate college football for what it is.
Pretty low scoring first half with 5:38. Going to send it deep. And Puka Williams out of his own end zone. Out across the 10 with a seam.
He's out of
Williams
there.
on the run. Inside the 20, breaks the tackle of the kicker, but Sutherland got just enough to trip him up. Huge return down to the 13-yard line.
And the guys are going to make fun of him because he got tackled by the kicker to stop him from scoring a touchdown.
Holy smokes.
All the people defending Brendan Sorsby by saying he never bet on his own team to lose seem to be overlooking the fact that he bet on unders for Indiana's passing yards and points scored while he was on the team. That is effectively the same thing as betting against your team. It's a complicated issue that we continue to try and unfold as we look at the court case for Brandon Sorsby and the fact that he's only going to miss 2 games as of now, still awaiting the NCAA appeal. But Caroline, this betting angle, I can't stress this enough. When people start talking about, well, you know, whatever he bet on his own team, that raises so many questions, and it still impacts so many different things. Betting on his own under for players, like, go ahead, Caroline.
I don't care. I don't care what he bet on. I don't care if he bet on his team to win. I don't care if he bet on his team to lose. I don't care if he bet on the overs or the unders or this or that. I don't care if he bet on it to rain on Thursday or not. I don't care what the bet was. He bet on his own team. Point blank, period. I keep hearing this brought up. Well, he bet on his own team. I don't care. Like, he bet on them to win. I don't care. He bet on his own team. You can't do that. That is so clearly and obviously a conflict of interest. That so clearly and obviously brings up a question of integrity of the game. So I keep hearing people say, well, he bet on his team to win. You can't do that either.
I mean, to that end, I would also remind people that in a poly market world where everybody can turn around and bet on almost anything, I would ask, are you comfortable with insider trading on the stock market? Like, there's a reason you're not allowed to trade on stocks if you have knowledge everybody else doesn't have. Whether you're betting for or against your team, when you are on that team, you have insider knowledge not everybody else has. As a result, you simply can't. You shouldn't be allowed to. There's no world where that should be okay because you are trading with insider information. It's no different than the stock market. But even the concept of, okay, well, he didn't bet against his team. He bet on his team. That raises the question of, like, okay, then what happens within the game? Well, okay, so if let's play this out where all of a sudden a star player bets on his team to win. Okay, now he gets in the game. Maybe he throws the ball a little bit more because he wants to have the opportunity to impact the outcome, which changes the betting lines on everybody else. Maybe he bet on the over for his favorite wide receiver to catch the ball, but now all of a sudden he's throwing that guy the ball more, and that means that other people aren't getting the ball as much, which impacts overs and unders. Like, the slippery slope of what's allowable and what's not allowable, not to mention the fact that if all he ever does is bet on his team for 30 straight games and then he doesn't, what red flag does that point out to everybody? So the gambling elements of this, like, people are sitting here. I think there's a genuine stupidity with the way people are talking about gambling in sports right now. I genuinely believe that people are looking in this moment saying, well, bet on his team, without thinking about a single damn thing that actually happens from that. A single portion of partnership, a single portion of gambling money that's going to come in, a single portion of what that means for the outcome of games and the way they can be affected. So, like, when I hear people say, well, what's wrong with betting with your team? I would say you obviously either are uninformed, ignorant, or incapable of actually looking at the trickle-down impact of betting in any way, shape, or form on a team that you have. There's a reason it's not allowed, and it's there in black and white. It's a violation of the rules.
I keep hearing people want to make excuses about what he did. Yeah, okay, well, he bet on his team to win. What happens when he doesn't, to your point? Brendan Sorsby knows if his top receiver is hurt or if somebody has the flu, or you've seen the scouting reports. You know, you've been breaking down the film, you've been watching the tape. You have insider information to know whether I want to bet on my team or just not bet at all. That impacts the betting markets. That impacts and calls into question the integrity of the sport. That is the number one thing that every sports league in America is scared of, the integrity. And I keep hearing people bring up, well, okay, what about, the Georgia traffic violations? That's bad too. What about every football player that's beat up their girlfriend and has been under legal investigation for it? That's bad too. What about every player that's gotten a DUI? That's bad too. Multiple things can be bad. And whether you agree with it or not, unfortunately, those are not the top priorities of sports leagues across America. I wish the NFL and the NBA and the NHL and Major League Baseball put as much investment against all of those things as they do gambling. I really wish that they did. Unfortunately, though, that's not reality and that's not their top priority. Their top priority is their bottom line, and their bottom line is maintaining the integrity of the game, because if you don't have that, then what do you have? All of a sudden, you're just WWE. So I keep hearing people bring up, well, what about this? What about that? Yeah, but no. Did he break a rule? Yes or no? Yes. That is all that matters to me in this situation.
Yeah, and I keep going back to when you buy a stock, you're buying a stock because you believe that it's going to go up in price. So you are betting that that stock is going to go up in price. By stock market rule, I actually worked for a stockbroker for many years in my life before I made it music. By stock market rule, if I have information nobody else has, I can't buy that stock. So if I find out in an all-hands meeting today at Yahoo that we're about to suddenly acquire the rights to the NFL digitally for the next 10 years, well, if I know that information, nobody else knows that information, and I go buy a bunch of Yahoo stock in this imaginary world, I wouldn't be allowed to do that. I'm banking on my company to make more money. Shouldn't I be allowed? No, because I'm using information that isn't readily available. I use that as a very generic, not real example of a very real issue here when it comes to gambling with athletes. Part of the reason it's in there that you can't bet on the sport is because you just have too much institutional knowledge. And this isn't, to me, about Brandon Sorsby. It isn't about Texas Tech. This is about the rule that is specifically being broken. And it's very clear, especially with all the partnerships that exist between gambling entities and sports, and gambling entities and sports media and all of these things. And this is where people want to point out the hypocrisy. I can't do anything about that. I can't do anything about hypocrisy. I can only cover this issue. And this issue is about a gambling addict who put himself in a situation where he broke the rules that shouldn't allow him to play anymore. I don't care that it's at Texas Tech. I wouldn't care if it was at Middle Tennessee State University. I don't care that it's Brandon Sorsby. I wouldn't care if it was my brother. At the end of the day, you broke a rule that is in writing that doesn't allow you to play football because of it. It's that simple. Texas Tech is trying to turn themselves into the victim here. Why is everybody yelling at us? Well, they're yelling at you because your team has the player. Then it's Brandon Sorsby. Well, how can we possibly? He's an addict. I don't care. I just don't. I have so many friends in my life that have gone through rehab. I understand what the rehab process is like intrinsically. I have toured with people in the music business that went through rehab, and when they came out of rehab, they lost their gigs. And it's a tragic thing to deal with. And I've helped people financially get through those periods. I say all of that to say action has consequence. When you put yourself in a situation where you violate the rules and they send you to rehab, that doesn't mean you come out of rehab with everything gifted to you that you had before. Action has consequence. Again, and so before anybody asks me when this act gets aggregated, I know people that have gone through rehab. My brother was in prison. I understand recidivism better than most of the world, and I still believe action has consequence. You bet on your team in football. The consequence of that has nothing to do with your addiction and everything to do with personal damn responsibility. Take some.
I have a heart. I have a heart for Brennan Sorsby, and I do, I feel for him. He's a young person who's dealing with addiction, this sickness that is addiction. I do feel for him. But to your point, your actions have consequences. One of my colleagues, Nicole Auerbach, had a great breakdown on The Athletic of, her personal opinion and also a lot of the facts of this. Highly recommend you go take a look at it and give it a read. It was fantastic. But she pointed out the more and more that we use mental health as an excuse to get out of punishment or consequences for your actions, the more and more we're making a mockery of the seriousness that is mental health. And I think that's so unfair. I think that's disgusting, honestly. And I think that's wrong. I am sure that if Brendan Sorsby lost all NCAA eligibility because he was caught betting on his own team, which is against the rules, I'm sure that would damage his mental health. I'm sure that would damage the trajectory of his career. Sorry, that's what happens. The same way that we've seen the mental health and the career trajectories of so many other players that have been found guilty of either breaking the law or breaking the rules. Unfortunately, that is life. And I really hate that for those people, but that's so is life, so is consequences. I just don't want to continue to use mental health as a reason for all of these players to get out scot-free to do whatever they want. That is not right. Mental health is real and mental health is serious. We can't just throw it out all willy-nilly and expect that, to be the reason why all of these people who are guilty can be found innocent. That's not right. And that leaves a really bad taste in my mouth about the way that college sports or sports in general are going, as if we can just use mental health as an excuse when mental health is an actual real thing.
When you step behind the wheel and you've had too much to drink, you can't just go to Betty Ford and take that off your record. In fact, many people may not realize this, but as an advocate of mental health, there are rehab facilities for trauma and stress that people don't deal with properly. So unfortunately, some of the people that we see in the world that have been violent abusers in relationships are in need of help. But when we send them to mental health facilities to actually rehab the things that trigger those violences, do we turn around and say, oh, well, now he's gone through a facility. Now we need to go ahead and eliminate whatever the punishment is for what that person has done. It doesn't work that way. There are two separate conversations here. Getting help is important for anybody that needs help. And if you need to go to rehab to fix your gambling addiction issue, I have nothing but respect for the process of going through that rehab. But again, going through that rehab does not simply eliminate your actions. It doesn't turn around and say, oh, and the fact is here, the gambling addiction issue was so prevalent that he was betting again on his own team. He was sending money to teammates and friends to try and bet in different places. Friends, I should say, to try and bet in different places. He had a gambling addiction issue. But he wasn't just gambling on golf. He wasn't gambling on the kids at the minor league baseball stadium running around to the ballpark in the sheep outfits to figure out who was. He was betting on his team. And the minute he started betting on his team, he violated rules that are very clear. I can't do anything. Speaking to fans and our peers here, many of whom have talked about whataboutism, I can't do anything about the fact that there isn't clear and succinct language in college football about what happens to somebody that speeds. I can't do anything about the fact that there isn't clear and absolutely indisputable language in college football about what happens to somebody who absolutely tragically beats the hell out of their partner. I can't do anything about the fact that those rules don't exist. These rules do. So maybe we need to have a totally separate conversation about making sure that we treat everything else in society with the same gravitas that we're treating this situation. But the fact is, the rules exist, and as a result, it makes the punishment clear. We'll keep you updated if there's any new updates, as the NCAA has already filed their appeal, which means there's plenty more to come. But there's plenty to talk about in the WNBA coming up. Terrika Foster-Brasbury going to join us. She'll break down all the news in the W.
What about the pre-fight talk? Do you feel like there should be a line?
I mean, can we look at it like comedy? I think that would be awesome.
I think that would be better. Even
well,
if you're talking about moms and stuff.
I mean, that sucks if someone did, Like,
yeah. Okay.
I think, like, building up to it, like, if you and I were standing across from each other and we were going to fight, you'd probably say a bunch of stuff you really don't mean. You kind of let it go after 5 rounds in a ring with someone.
I mean, yeah, everyone loves to bring up all the pressure and tell me about the pressure. And I'm used to it. I've lived like this for quite some time now. For me, I just try to do my best to live in the moment. I wouldn't trade what I do for the world. So this is exactly where I want to be. And I just try to take it head on and enjoy every experience. I got a wonderful team and family behind me. And that's all that really matters.
What did you learn about LeBron when you were out there on the golf course with him?
I learned he's just like the rest of us out on the golf course. He loves the game. He caught the bug somewhere along the line, and just like all of us, all he wants to do is play golf. I think Bronny's probably a little ahead of him in his game, and I think that's probably messing with him a little bit. I think he can't wait to maybe even the playing field there. But yeah, I mean, he's talking about equipment. He's just like every other guy, kind of working all week to be able to play golf on the weekend.
Orlando, one timeout left, but the game comes down to this right here. 4 feet away from the goal line in the win. It's DeLorme to throw, near side, pass caught over the wall.
That's a touchdown.
He caught it over the wall.
Touchdown from
Touchdown, Orlando! A walk-off win. As dramatic of a finish as you will ever find, and a walk-off for the Pirates.
Wow, what a finish in Orlando.
Breaking, Terrika Foster-Brasbury is joining USA Sports for its 2026 WNBA coverage. USA Today has the exclusive details on She Knows Sports joining forces with the network. Somebody we've been a friend with for a long time. I am glad to see this rise. I am glad to see this dominance. It is deserved. Terrika, it's good to see you, my friend. What's it mean for you to be partnering with USA for this WNBA season?
I love being a part of history. So this is a great moment for all of us, for women's sports, for those of us who've been trying to grow the game for a very long time. It's been great. The company is great. They're, open to so many fresh ideas. I love being a part of stuff that is new because they're open to all the new ideas and let's try everything. And so far it's been working. So just a great experience overall.
Congratulations to you. Very, very well deserved, and love to see this game get the attention that it deserves. We still have more work to do. We are not there yet, but we are getting that much closer. Let's talk hoops, because last night we saw Angel Reese take on her former team, the Chicago Sky, and she absolutely went off. 17 points, 17 rebounds. She was like, I take this one personally. What have you made of Angel in Atlanta so far this season?
It's the perfect fit, right? And when I say that, I don't necessarily mean that, it is the dream destination, but pun intended. But what I do notice is that it's the perfect place for her to grow and also just be her without the unwanted and unnecessary attention of being the focal point. I think, Angel, when she was in Chicago, it was Angel's team, right? And that's a very difficult task in a WNBA that is continually growing, but also that in an organization that at the time was also going through its fair share of growing pains and challenges. So it was one of those things where you kind of knew that there were going to be some ups and downs within her rise in Chicago. But you get to Atlanta, and not only do you need to fit in seamlessly, but you also don't have to worry about being the focus of the offense because you've got an Alicia Gray that's incredible. You've got a Ryan Howard that's incredible. Jordan Canada is incredible. You know specifically what your role is going to be. You also don't have to worry about finding an identity as a team because you guys have already got that. Leadership is there from a veteran standpoint, so you're not the you don't have to take on the role of being the veteran voice or the veteran leader in the locker room. It's really helped make Angel a great player without all the noise and all the chatter. So I really do love her transition to the dream.
I love this for her, but I'm still trying to figure out what the hell Chicago's doing, right? Because they get rid of a great player and they're a bad team. So make it make sense for me, Terrika.
It's not that I think that they're a bad team, right? Because I don't think that they're a bad team, but there's just something in their chemistry that isn't working as of yet. And I also recognize that they lost a huge piece of their offseason acquisition, and that is Rickea Jackson. Rickea Jackson is game-changing for any team, right? And on paper, this Chicago team should absolutely be one of the best, if not one of the top teams in this league. But you don't have Rickea Jackson. You still don't have Courtney Vandersloot back. You still don't have Dejanay Carrington back. You lost Gabriella Jaquez for a few weeks. You didn't start the season with Azare Stevens. So not that we're using injuries as an excuse, but realistically, injuries have been the biggest reason that this Chicago Sky team just haven't been able to click. And then you also look at the fact that there still seems to be some misalignment with the offense, with the half-court transition offense in particular. And so you basically have a recipe for disaster, Jason. It's like maybe we're not quite getting and executing the offense, and we're also injured at the same time. So it's a recipe for disaster, and that's what we're seeing. And it doesn't help that this is a Chicago franchise that has had its fair share of challenges from a front office standpoint and from an on the court standpoint for the last 4 or 5 years. So I don't know what needs to happen, but I would like to think that once some of these injured players start to come back, Chicago can find its rhythm. But losing Rickea Jackson, man, that was tough.
I just feel for Sky fans everywhere. Because after years of just losing basketball, bad vibes, you're it was not that long ago. They were like a top 3 team in the league, and Rickea Jackson is averaging almost 20 points a game. And then she tears her ACL, and they just continue to get bit by the injury bug. Oh, it just feels like when they finally figured things out, the Chicago curse seems to strike again.
Every time.
Not only do we have every time, my heart breaks for them. Angel Ballin was not the only action that we got on the court last night. We had the number 1 and number 2 overall picks going at it. AZ Fudd and the Dallas Wings, Olivia Miles and the Minnesota Lynx. Hindsight is always 2020. We can always play armchair GM. But do you think that there are Dallas fans or even members of the Dallas Wings organization that are looking at what Olivia Miles is doing and thinking, did we get it wrong?
Of course there are. Of course there are. Of course there are fans that are thinking that, but Dallas didn't get it wrong. Well, let me back up. Dallas might have gotten it wrong, but not necessarily for Olivia Miles. But that's another conversation for another day. I do, however, think that Olivia Miles went exactly where she needed to be. But of course, Dallas fans there are going to be some, not all, but there are going to be some that are going to say, dang, what would have happened if we had secured her? The problem is she plays the same position as Paige Beckers. So are you really thinking to yourself that you're going to give up Paige Beckers and what she's been able to do so early in her career and how she's going to continue to ascend? Of course not. So the chips fell exactly where they needed to. But Olivia Miles is something special, y'all. I mean, she does not play like a rookie. She reminds me a lot of Lindsay Whalen. I think the way that she can try, and then it just so happened that she gets to have Lindsay Whalen as her assistant coach on the bench. But she just reminds me so much of her just because of how she can literally take control of the floor. She sees the floor in a way that other point guards don't do it. She's looking to continue to get her teammates involved. She's looking to continue to facilitate, and she just knows how to put her head down and drive downhill and attack the basket. I mean, these are just things that you can't teach, but you just so happen to have one of the best coaches, if not the best coach in the WNBA, in Cheryl Reeve on your sideline, who knows how to develop talent. She knows how to identify talent. And this is all without Nafisa, right? We ain't even seen Nafisa come back yet. Like, this Minnesota team is scary. I would not want to play them. I would not.
You're 1,000% right. This Minnesota team is scary. Every year, though, I watch the Aces just at some point wake up and they're a juggernaut that's unbeatable. If you today had to put the entire Terrika empire on Lynx versus Aces, who's the best team when it's all said and done?
That is so unfair because Asia Wilson is unreal. Asia Wilson is so unreal. I mean, she literally was just named to Time 100. No matter what you do or what you think you can do, you can't stop her. Like, she could literally put the team on her back and win a championship on her own. The thing is, she doesn't have to, because there's a Jackie Gray and a Chelsea Gray, Jackie Young and a Chelsea Gray, that is, and a Kennedy Carter now that's coming off the bench. It's that Las Vegas team is so talented, but also so experienced, and they know exactly what it takes to win. And so as good as this Minnesota team looks, I'd probably have to roll in favor of the Aces if they were to meet today. But I do 100% believe that this Minnesota team, if it continues to play like this and get better, once Nafisa Collier and Dorka Uhas, once those players are able to return, I would definitely put my empire on Minnesota being in the finals. Now, to be fair, Minnesota has played this well before and then got to October and got bounced out. So, maybe not the whole empire. Leave me a house, Jason. I need somewhere to stay. But they definitely look good enough to make it to the finals.
I mean, it's I won't count the aces out until they literally show me on the court late in the season that we should be counting them out. But as it comes to A'ja Wilson, it's so easy for me and you, any of us, to be like, well, A'ja Wilson's A'ja Wilson. She's inevitable. She's the greatest player on the planet. She's a 4-time MVP. She just does what she does. But I feel like that just doesn't give A'ja Wilson enough credit for what she is for this team and how she's evolved throughout her career, how she seems to get better year over year. So I'll ask you, what are elements of her game that we've seen, whether at the beginning of this season or, rounding out the end of last season? How have you seen her, best player on the planet, get that much better?
My God, continuing to work on her footwork, continuing to work on her presence around the basket. This year hasn't been as aggressive from a rebounding standpoint as she has been, but I have no doubt that will change as this season progresses. She is literally someone who could score from anywhere, has gotten better working on her three-point shooting. So now you've got a threat with A'ja from an offensive standpoint from anywhere on the court. She's she leads by example. And I think that's not stressed enough, right? We talk about it and we hit on it, but it's really not stressed enough. It is one thing to have a veteran player who's won some championships, maybe a couple MVPs, and they come in and they tell you what they want you to do. And they tell you how they want you to respond. And they tell you how they want you to show up. It is totally different when you have a player that is showing you. She's saying to you, I need you to show up this way because she's showing up this way. She's telling you she needs you to act this way and to bring this level of intensity on the court because she brings that level of intensity on the court. And so you play different when you have a culture setter like that. You play different. You react different when you have someone who can come at you from a leadership perspective and a voice perspective. And that's basically leading by example. And I think those are the elements that continue to make her such a great player. On top of that, sis ain't even in her prime yet, for real. She ain't even 30. She's not even 30. You've accomplished this before you even reached a new decade. That is insane and something that I don't think this league will see again for many years. But at the same time, I think it's just those things that make A'ja so compelling and so different. And she still remains relatable. She still remains someone, as a sideline reporter, I love when A'ja Wilson is my interview because I know she's going to be honest. I know she's going to be transparent. She's so smart. Her IQ is crazy, but she still has that relatable personality that makes you smile when you talk to her and make you pay attention and make you listen. So it's all those little things on top of what the stat sheet provides that makes A'ja Wilson such an incredible player.
Which I feel like we constantly praise A'ja here, but also we're talking W, which means we have to ask about Caitlin. I want a nuanced conversation from you, Terrika, because you've covered this league for so long. Everybody has an opinion about Stephanie White, the Fever, and Caitlin Clark. How does all of that to you play out?
To me, it's nothing. I covered Stephanie White for years when she was the head coach of the Connecticut Sun. And I've seen Stephanie cuss people out on the sideline plenty of times with way more years in this league than Caitlin Clark, right? I've seen her go at Alyssa Thomas. I've seen her go at Dejanay Carrington. I've seen her go at everybody that when the time calls for it. And at the same time, they respected her because she was that big of a coach in terms of her ability and her ability to win. And they believed in that and they bought into that. And so when I saw that spat on the sideline between Stephanie and Caitlin, I shoved it off. Wasn't a big deal to me. But I also understand a couple of things. Number one, this is a team that has all 44 of their games in the national spotlight. No other team has that. And to me, that's a big deal. Not necessarily because their games are nationally televised, but teams are going to make mistakes. Teams go through growing pains. Teams sometimes, just need the love of their fans and their fans only because they need that upliftment and that encouragement. When you've got every game that is going to be nationally televised, you've now put every single moment in the national spotlight. So you're now open. Again, this isn't the team's fault, but you're now open for, criticism of even the microscopic level. Now you don't get to make mistakes with just you and your team. You're now making mistakes in front of the world. Every single thing now becomes scrutiny. And it just kind of is what it is. And I know Caitlin knows that. I know Stephanie White knows that. She knew that when she took the position, but that's just kind of the position that they are in, that any little thing that they do is going to be scrutinized. Some of it is warranted. Some of it is not, but that's also the way that we look at sports, right? Fans are always going to have an argument about what's fair, what's not fair, what's warranted, what's not warranted. That's just the nature of sports. But I don't think that there is anything that anyone should have a cause for concern. Any talk about Stephanie White losing her job, any of that stuff is just way too far and it's nonsense. What I would also say is that after that situation, and there were players that mentioned that they had a team-only meeting. They had 4 days off after that. And then what did they do? They came out and smacked Atlanta in the mouth right after that. Kelsey Mitchell has an incredible game. They held Atlanta to like 71 points. And this is a team where you got 3 players that can get you 71 points on their own merit. So they came out, they heard the criticism about how their defense had not shown up, and which was true. Their defense was not showing up in those losses that they had. They allowed their opponents to score over 90 points, and 3 of them scored over 100. You're not going to win basketball games that way. And so I feel like they did the necessary work in that time off to come out and play different. Now, they lost against New York, but New York is on a 5-game win streak. They're hot right now. They're playing well. So you lose against New York, that's fine. But again, you come out and you win a game winner against Washington in Washington. Like this is what you want to see after that kind of situation. This is how you shut up the critics. You don't worry about what they're saying. You just go out there and play, and that's how you make them be quiet.
And this is why USA is lucky to have her. Los Angeles Sparks visiting the Seattle Storm, 10 p.m. Eastern on USA. Check it out. Follow her on social media at She Knows Sports. Terrika, always good to see you, my friend. Thanks for the expertise.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, that's great.
Thanks, Terrika.
She's doing great work with it. Great context on it also. Coming up next, should Josh Allen actually be the face of the NFL? We'll break it down for you.
Rubido's going to have to stand in there. He's going to take a lot of big hits because they're going to give up pressure.
Fake handoff from the 3, launches, got a man deep, caught, touchdown, New Mexico, Damon Street with the answer.
Watch, there's Rubido gets drilled and just, poorly timed on the defensive play by or Decius. Decius jumps and the ball's not even there yet, but a great play though for New Mexico.
Honestly, do you think you could have continued? Do you think if there was a minute left in the fight, you would have been okay? Meaning, a minute left in the round, not the end of the round.
So if you look back at it, I got the uppercut. For the people that know my fights, I've been dropped multiple times in different type of fights, in championship fights. And what I do is I get back up, and no matter how much time is left on the clock, I get back up and I end up winning.
What's it mean to you to see your squad still celebrated and embraced like this 40 years later?
It's pretty crazy, to really still see this, and they haven't been in the winning circle since 40 years. It's time that they put it together. 40 years of what this team that I played with, this is like the best team I played on in 86. I played on the 98 Yankees too, but this team here was a team that you just didn't want to mess with.
Felix Harper, 7 of 11 in the first half. The efficiency has been the name of the game for him so far this season. Handoff left side, down the near boards, open space, and JT Stokes in for the touchdown for Fishers. And JT Stokes get a carry off the left side on the first play from scrimmage in the second half and houses it.
Josh Allen has overtaken Saquon as the NFL's new top-selling player, according to the 2026 NFLPA player sales list. You see a lot of familiar names on there. Is Josh Allen actually the face of the NFL at this point? Highest-selling jersey, and frankly, we always think of Patty Mahomes, not even in the top 5 there. Is Allen the new face of the NFL?
I mean, the NFL is not very forgiving. You have one off year, 1 year where you don't make the postseason, all of a sudden people are like, that crap bum. I don't want his jersey. I don't want any of his merch. I do think the NFL would want Josh Allen to be the face of the league, right? No off the field concerns or issues, super charismatic personality, likable guy who plays for a contending team. Like, he checks all of those boxes. I think the other players that you could bring up in mind for being the quote-unquote face of the league, obviously Patrick Mahomes. He's probably been the face of the league over the last several years. But I do wonder if we all have, like, Chiefs and Mahomes fatigue. Like, has he been the focal point of the league? Has he been at the top of the league for so long that everyone's just kind of tired of Mahomes and wants a fresh face and a new name? Like, possibly. I think Jalen Hurts, you just saw him top 5, top 10 in merchandise sales there. But do wonder, does Jalen Hurts not have a big enough personality necessarily to be the face of the league? Like, he was in all of those Olympic commercials when everyone was talking about flag football and the Olympics, which I think Jalen Hurts is obviously a recognizable name, even to the most casual of casual sports fans. So I think he would be one that I would look at as the face of the league. But doesn't have the same kind of like zany personality that maybe like a Patrick Mahomes or a Josh Allen has. Burrow is one that I think you could argue was the face of the league when he got the Bengals to the Super Bowl. But also, I think he's been hurt too much, and the Bengals haven't been good enough for him to be the face of the league. Jerry Jones, I think, could be the face of the NFL. I think Jerry Jones probably been the face of the NFL for a long, long time now. Everybody knows Jerry Jones. But overall, I think those are all contenders for the face of the league. But I think Josh Allen is a very fair case to be the focal point of the NFL right now.
I think that's kind of an interesting way that you said that at the end. Josh Allen has every right to be the focal point of the NFL for all the good that he does off the field, all the great he does on the field, for the fanatical fan base, the Bills are, all of these things together. You stack it together, it's fantastic. But let's be clear. The face of the NFL will never truly be a player. The face of the NFL will always be something established with the shield and the helmet. Like, players come and go. And for whatever reason, as opposed to the NBA where, frankly, if LeBron goes to Golden State this summer, there's going to be a bunch of people that go buy a LeBron Golden State jersey. But how many diehard Giants fans suddenly became diehard Eagles fans because Saquon moved from team A to team B? It just doesn't happen. If Josh Allen later in his career goes and plays for the Miami Dolphins, how many people are going to become transcendent Dolphins fans that were Josh Allen fans? No, it just doesn't happen the same way. There are rare instances where for a minute you'll root for a team. Certainly we watched plenty of Brady fans become Buccaneers fans for that brief moment in time, and then they went right back to the Patriots right afterwards. The resonance of players just isn't the same in the NFL. I think it's interesting that Josh Allen is the highest selling jersey because nothing's new. Like, what stuns me about that jersey list is it doesn't stun me to see Drake May as one of the highest selling jerseys, because I would imagine there's plenty of Patriots fans that were wait and see on Drake May. Like, I'll buy the jersey when I'm convinced he's the next Brady. Now they're all convinced of that. They're over their skis. They're buying Drake May. That makes sense. Jackson Smith and Jigba on a Super Bowl year. You're picking a Steeler you're going to go with the historic one. That makes sense. The Micah Parsons, I can even buy. Changing teams. Yeah. The Packers fans go out and buy a Parsons jersey. Why are you suddenly now buying a Josh Allen jersey? Like, Josh Allen has been really good for a really long time. He's not new to the Bills. They didn't put out new unis. There wasn't something where you're like, oh my God, I got to go get this one. Like, I'm stunned Josh Allen's the highest selling jersey because I would think you already bought your Josh Allen jersey. But even more than all of that, Caroline, Josh Allen will never matter to the NFL more than the Buffalo Bills logo does. It's just a difference in NFL fanaticism versus any other sport. In the NFL, you are fans of the team, and you are so used to players hopping from one spot to another. As somebody with the Max Crosby jersey hanging over my shoulder, if Max were playing for the Baltimore Ravens this year, of course I'd still root for Max to have a great season. Not rooting for the Baltimore Ravens, taking my jersey, hanging it somewhere else until he retires. Like, that's just the way these things go. We as NFL fans, for the majority of us, we are connected to our organization far more than we're ever connected to players, which is why no one player ever has to be the face of the league.
And I think now, younger sports fans resonate more with individual players than they do actual franchises. I don't think there are a lot of Jags fans out there, but there's a lot of Travis Hunter fans out there. So that's changing a little bit, but the NFL is still far more organizationally focused than maybe, say, the NBA. You have LeBron fans, you have Steph fans, far more than you have someone who's a Laker fan and then a LeBron fan. You have LeBron fans wherever, to your point, wherever LeBron goes, there'll be fans of LeBron there versus just a Cavs fan or just a Laker fan or just a Heat fan, and so on and so forth. But let's not get it twisted. The NFL needs stars just like every other league, right? The NFL needs Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes matchup just like any other league needs star-on-star matchup. Like, are you really going to be glued to the TV for a Jacoby Brissett, Daniel Jones regular season game? No, probably not. But if, let's say, knock on wood, I'm not wishing for this to happen, but if Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes both get hurt, is anybody, really scratching and clawing their way to go watch a Justin Fields versus whoever the hell's the backup in Buffalo? I honestly don't even have any idea. Like, the NFL needs stars. The NFL understands that. The NFL is not above that. But the NFL does not need a singular focal point superstar face of the league the way that we maybe feel like the NBA needs a face of the league. That's why the NBA is clinging so tightly to Victor Wembanyama, because the NBA knows that Victor Wembanyama is somebody that even the most casual sports fans can resonate with. So while the NFL is not above needing superstar matchups, the NFL is not above liking the fact that their players have transcended into celebrity status. The NFL knows that even if it is a Jacoby Brissett versus Daniel Jones matchup, people are going to watch.
Well, and there certainly are outliers. Every rule has exceptions, right? There are plenty of people that are simply Shedeur Sanders fans. We know that at this point. Shedeur led last year's rookie class in jersey sales. You mentioned Travis Hunter. There's certain people that are a bit larger than life. I don't know, and I'm not sure we can know anytime soon, how many of those people become actual diehard NFL fans in the process. There are plenty of people that become fan of a player, but do they become generational, oh my God, I'm going to watch the NFL every Sunday for the rest of my life fans out of that? And if so, do they follow Shedeur wherever, and then where do they go? We don't really have that data right now to know. But what we do know, for example, off the draft that we just had, highest selling jersey of all the players that was just drafted, not Fernando Mendoza, it's Caleb Downs. Caleb Downs right now so far is the highest selling jersey sale of the rookie draft class. Why? It's the Dallas Cowboys. The biggest fan base is out there buying a player's jersey that they're wildly excited for. The America's team out there with a ton of fans out there buying Caleb Downs jersey. So I do think to the point where sort of both we agree on, I think stars supplement brands and brands supplement stars. Those two things happen at the same time. But if Josh Allen decided tomorrow that he was going to retire and never play another single down for the Buffalo Bills, sorry to Josh Golden, our incredible producer, but if that were to happen tomorrow, how many people are suddenly throwing their jerseys away and saying, I'm never watching a Bills game again, right? Like, and I think that's part of just what the NFL banks on. The NFL banks on generational fandom being passed down from one generation to the next. The NFL, I think, banks on my life story. I'm a Raiders fan because my dad was a Raiders fan and because we sat down and ate a dozen donuts every Sunday together while we watched the Raiders game. And if I had ever had kids, we would have sat down and watched the Raiders game together. Like, that is part of just the culture of what fandom becomes. And the NFL has generations of that cooked in. So for the NFL, they don't necessarily need it. I don't think there's a bigger star in the NFL right now than Patrick Mahomes. But it is interesting that Patrick Mahomes, the biggest star, the biggest pitch man, the biggest money man, the biggest name in the NFL, didn't lead the league in jersey sales last year because the Chiefs ultimately weren't very good.
Yeah. And look, the NBA has that. Major League Baseball has that. Generational fan bases. the legacy fan bases. I think that's a tale as old as time, that you're a fan of a team because your parents were fans of that team, and they're fans of that team because their parents were fans of that team. That's what I think makes sports so special, is that it is transcended amongst generations. That isn't exclusive to the NFL, but there are individual leagues that have gone different ways. That the NBA is so much now more than ever a player-driven league. I think Major League Baseball is still very much so an organization-driven league, but it's not as big as the NFL, clearly. I mean, Major League Baseball had a really critical point there where they were lacking star power, individual star power. And so the interest in baseball just kind of waned a little bit. And then we saw the personalities of Fernando Tatis Jr. We saw Mookie Betts show a little bit more swagger than maybe we had seen typically from individual players. We saw Shohei Ohtani come on the scene. And now, while people and sports fans have their individual fandoms, there are individual players like a Shohei that command a certain amount of attention. The NFL is no different in that. Individual players command a certain amount of attention. But if Josh Allen never plays another down for the Buffalo Bills again, there will still be rabid Buffalo Bills fans that probably still buy Josh Allen jerseys, because that's just what Josh Allen means to that organization. And same thing with Patrick Mahomes. If Patrick Mahomes retired today, people would still be buying Patrick Mahomes jerseys because of what he meant to that organization when he had so much success with the Kansas City Chiefs. But it is really fascinating, too, to see, if we wouldn't mind pulling that list up. Yes, there's Josh Allen on that list, and yes, Patrick Mahomes is on that list. But it is fascinating to see the amount of attention and buy-in that non-quarterbacks get. I see Jalen Hurts, Caleb Williams, Jordan Love, Jaden Daniels, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. It is still very much so a quarterback-driven league. But for Saquon to be top 3 in jersey sales in a position that everybody tells me is dying, in a position that everybody tells me isn't worthy of investing in, yeah, right. We see Jackson Smith and Jigba, Micah Parsons being on the list. Wasn't that long ago, but I don't think defensive players really would have been anywhere near the top 10 or top 20. I'm honestly shocked to see Myles Garrett not on this list. I wonder, whenever Myles Garrett got traded to the Rams, I wonder how many all 10 Rams fans just went sprinting to fanatics.com or wherever they get their merchandise to go get a Myles Garrett jersey. So I think the NFL has become so popular that now wide receivers, running backs, corners. I wonder how many Derek Stingley Jr. jerseys you can see walking around Houston. I bet it's a lot, honestly. Will Anderson jerseys walking around Houston. The NFL is so popular that it's not just a quarterback-driven league anymore. Of course, it still is quarterback's most important position in sports. I get that. I understand that. But the NFL is so popular that your second or third wide receiver on your team is going to be pretty high in jersey sales as well.
Amazing to me that James Cook led the league in rushing last year, and he's not on the list yet. Saquon is, and Josh Allen are. All right, one name that will be on the list in a year, Aaron Donald. Are we about to see a comeback for the ages that will lead to another trophy presentation like that one? We'll answer it next.
There's the toss to Kerrigan. He is destroyed at the 2-yard line.
Yeah, and a great effort by Carson Taylor, defensive end. He makes Kerrigan really have to get wide here, and then good pursuit by the rest of the defense.
Arizona down by 3. Snap to Myler. There's the give to Clark. Open space, hurdles a defender, and he's tackled at the 17.
What's the difference between your show and their show?
I'm going to say we have the superior talkers because I'm on the show, and nobody's a better talker than me in all of professional wrestling, and that's just a fact. We just feel really special, and we feel very distinct, and I think the biggest reason why, more than anything else, is because when I'm watching All Elite Wrestling, I don't feel like I am watching somebody play a character.
My take on college football is it's always a regular season sport to me. It will always be a regular season sport. That is the beauty of college football. And we've put too much emphasis on the playoff that taking this playoff and expanding it, you take what college football is and you dilute it. And you take that regular season and you're going to have load management in college football late in the year. Like, you don't want that. I think the people pushing for this are not the people who care about the well-being of this sport and like appreciate college football for what it is.
Pretty low scoring first half with 5:38. Gonna send it deep. And Puka Williams out of his own end zone. Out across the 10 with a seam.
He's out of
Williams
there.
on the run. Inside the 20, breaks the tackle of the kicker, but Sutherland got just enough to trip him up. Huge return down to the 13-yard line.
And the guys are going to make fun of him because he got tackled by the kicker to stop him from scoring a touchdown.
Holy smokes.
Adam Schefter on Aaron Donald potentially coming out of retirement. Quote, I think when they present a plan to him on how he'd be used, I think it's more likely than not that he'll be back. This continues rampant speculation all over the internet from insiders everywhere about the future of Aaron Donald. And I can't imagine it. I mean, Caroline, number one, Aaron Donald would have to take less than market value to do this. And number two, we haven't seen him play football in a minute. But if we just presume that all of those things work together and we get a healthy Aaron Donald, he's going to end up being the best defense of all time.
Have you taken a gander at Aaron Donald's Instagram? Oh, well, like since he retired.
Yeah.
The entire thing is him working out and bench pressing and squatting and him in the gym doing something ridiculous like a Derrick Henry level dragging tires while balancing on a Bosu ball kind of workouts. Aaron Donald misses the grind. Aaron Donald lives to do this. Like Aaron Donald, when I retire, my butt will be parked on a beach somewhere in like Bali or the south of France. You're not going to see me continuing my craft when I retire, especially if I'm as rich as Aaron Donald is now when he retired. I mean, that would be great. I'm just going to speak that to existence, just manifest it. Aaron Donald is just wired like that. Like, he just wants to work. He wants to grind. And honestly, I'm sure he probably misses the grind of an NFL season. I'm sure he probably misses the competitive aspect of it. Probably doesn't miss all of it. But I'm sure the way that he is wired and the way that he posts videos of him working out, it shows to me that he is just wired like that. So I honestly would not be surprised if Aaron Donald came back, because he's not going to come back just to come back. He's not going to come back just to go 10-7 and lose in the divisional round of the playoffs. Aaron Donald would come back to win a championship. It would take something special, I think, for Aaron Donald to want to come back and play the game of football. What's more special than playing next to Myles Garrett? What's more special than playing on a team that is doing everything they possibly can to capitalize on a Super Bowl window? And let's acknowledge the fact that he wouldn't just be coming back to, play next to the single season sack record holder, reigning defensive player of the year. He would also be coming back to play next to Byron Young, who had 12 sacks last year. Let's also acknowledge he'd be coming back to play next to Kobe Turner, who had 7 sacks last year. I mean, like, this Rams defensive line without Aaron Donald has the makings of being one of the best in the National Football League. Like, I think between Byron Young and Myles Garrett, that's the best 1-2 punch in the National Football League. I see you, Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson. I think Byron Young and Myles Garrett is better. You plug Aaron Donald into that, who's stopping that? Every quarterback in the league is going to tinkle their pants before playing that Rams defensive front. So I kind of want to speak it into existence just because it would be awesome and epic, and I would make every Rams game appointment watching just to watch Aaron Donald and Myles Garrett go at it. But I also think that Aaron Donald is kind of wired that way. He's just that kind of person that would want to sign up for this.
To your point, he's in the gym all the time. According to SpotTrack, his career earnings were $157 million. I know several people that have made generational wealth in their life that just love to work. I mean, I think at the end of the day, if it's still in him, and look, he's not avoiding it, he could shut this all down quickly. Aaron Donald could have easily told Jordan Schultz or Adam Schefter or anybody else, nah, I'm out. He hasn't said that. It's all been, if I can find the fire. And the fact that this year's Super Bowl is at SoFi, you're talking about the opportunity to be where he is with the team that he's on, with the stacked roster that I think with him added would make him the best, be part of the best defense we've ever seen on a team where, mark this down, bookmark it today. If Aaron Donald announces he's coming back, the number one topic on NFL shows the next day will be, can the Rams go undefeated? The expectations will be through the roof for this incredible team to have an incredible season. To win a Super Bowl at SoFi, yeah, if you're Aaron Donald and you can be part of that history, if there's anything that's going to make you walk back onto a football field, if you still have that fire in, it's this defense with this team, with this quarterback, with this coach, in this organization, in this stadium. I just think it's absolutely a perfect little hodgepodge of everything coming together the right way, the right time. If Aaron Donald has any desire to come back and play, I can't imagine a better situation. I want it to happen. And then when we happen, I can't wait to cover history because every single week will feel like it's the chance to watch a historic football team. Speaking of things, by the way, we can't keep our eyes off of, more developments in Brandon Ayuk's situation. The wide receiver for the 49ers took to social media and the internet, took notice. Lots to say here. He put up a video, a selfie video, talking about the 49ers, and his quote was, you want to know why they're mad, though? They're mad because they're stupid. They're mad because they paid me $50 million in 8 months and then voided my guarantees for 2027, and I'm about to be on a new team in 2026. They're mad at themselves. So he's basically saying the 49ers are mad at themselves, taking it out on him because they reworked his deal, he got the money, and now he's going to play somewhere else. I don't know what to make of any athlete going to social media and expressing their opinions this way about their contract in this way. It just feels like a bad look for everybody.
First and foremost, if I just want to be a human for a second, Brandon Ayuk's actions, what he said on social media, things he's been posting, the fact that he totally and completely ghosted the 49ers, that's really concerning behavior. I really hope that Brandon Ayuk has genuine people in his corner who aren't trying to take advantage of him, that can talk to him, that can get through to him, that can keep his best interests at the forefront, because clearly something is not right with Brandon Ayuk, and it's really unnerving to see. It's concerning, and just like the human being in me just hopes that Brandon Ayuk has somebody that can advocate for him, that doesn't have their bottom line at the forefront, that doesn't have dollars and cents at the top of their priority list, but just has Brandon Ayuk, the human, at the top of their priority list. The other side of this is, if Brandon Ayuk is calling 49ers stupid, just doing that point blank period is a horrific look. You're calling San Francisco stupid for paying you. It's not necessarily a great endorsement for another team in the NFL to pay you. Brandon Ayuk putting that video out doesn't, to me, make the 49ers look bad, doesn't make the San Francisco front office look stupid. I think it makes Brandon Ayuk look bad. If I am a general manager on 31 other teams in the National Football League, I'm saying, I'm good. Like, I might be a wide receiver needy team. Brandon Ayuk might be able to help my team, but I feel like I'm signing up for more of a PR nightmare than I would be signing up for more than what he can do for me on the field. So no thanks, I'm good. I think Brandon Ayuk is trying to make the 49ers look bad when he's really making himself look bad in the process.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too, because the 49ers don't have to release him. If he truly never shows up, I understand he has a $13 million salary cap hit this year, and then it gets huge the next couple of years. But if he never shows up, the deal freezes. That's the part of this that I just wonder if everybody understands. I mean, if he doesn't show up, if he's in the building, it forces the 49ers to release him. If he doesn't show up into the building at all, they can essentially freeze. It's no different than when there's a holdout. We always hear you don't get credit for the year of service unless you show up by week 10. If he doesn't show up, his contract basically freezes, and the 49ers don't have to do anything. So Brandon Ayuk posting videos from his house doesn't help anything. Brandon Ayuk showing up to the facility is actually what will force some form of action, but he doesn't seem to be interested in doing that. So I don't know what to make of any of it. What I do know is that it's the NFL, which means somebody somewhere is going to believe that they can get through to him and they're going to acquire him. Like, I have a hard time believing Brandon Ayuk's time in the NFL is done, Caroline. I just think that this gets way messier. If he doesn't come in, it gets way messier before it gets any cleaner, because it does create a situation where that contract can get frozen, and all of a sudden we're trying to figure out what to do. If he does come in, I mean, we watched Antonio Brown get how many cracks at it? Antonio Brown walked off the field, took his jersey off, walked off the field in the middle of a game, and people were still like, I don't know, could end up back on a team. So, like, Ayuk's still going to play if he wants to play.
I mean, Antonio Brown did go to the Tom Brady School of Rehabilitation. And Tom Brady gave him several chances that he probably didn't deserve. But look, when Tom Brady gives you the green light, you do it. Brandon Ayuk also in this situation, I hope he has smart legal people advising him too, because Brandon Ayuk doesn't have a whole lot of leverage in this scenario. The way that the NFL CBA kind of pans out doesn't give players under contract a lot of leverage to hold out or to, really to advocate for themselves. If you're under contract, you are under contract. Point blank, period. So the 49ers hold all of the cards in this scenario, because if the 49ers want to totally and completely void his contract and say that his conduct has been detrimental to the team, I think a lot of people will rule in the 49ers' favor in all of this. So I hope that Brandon Ayuk understands that not only does he not have a lot of leverage already, continuing to speak out publicly on social media, calling this team dumb, calling them stupid for paying you, it's a horrific look for him. And also, he keeps saying, like, I'm going to play for someone else in 2026. I'm going to play for someone else in 2026. You sure about that? Because I'm not.
You sure about that?
He's made it clear, according to multiple reports, that he wants to play in Washington. He wants to go be reunited with Jaden Daniels, a close friend of his. That's where he wants to play. I just wonder how any of these actions actually help that happen. I wonder how any of these actions we're seeing right now actually help get him to Washington, because certainly, to your point, Caroline, if he doesn't show up, 49ers never have to do anything. When he does show up, then the 49ers have to make some decisions. If they want to try and trade him, they can, certainly, but nobody's going to trade for that contract. So they're going to release him, and then he's going to be free to go somewhere. But, I mean, none of this is helping the situation. None of this is helping things get better. And if you're Washington, are you sure you can bet on him? Are you sure that you can rely on him to? Because what happens if he gets there and he's not happy? Like, he got paid and he's not happy. So how comfortable can you be giving him any sort of long-term commitment, knowing that the last time he got a long-term commitment, he basically looked at it and said, yeah, I'm not going to show up for work anymore. Thanks for the cash. Like, that has to be in your mind organizationally. If you're Washington, you'd love to have Brandon Ayuk to team with Jaden Daniels. Sure. But in order for that to happen, Brandon Ayuk's going to have to show up. San Francisco's going to have to cut him. Washington's going to have to pay him. He's going to have to be okay taking less than probably the length and terms of contract he thinks he's worth, because Washington would be stupid to repeat the mistakes that we just saw from San Francisco.
And this is a really critical year for Washington and for Jaden Daniels. Going into year 3, after year 2 was riddled with injury. I mean, I wouldn't, yes, you would want to pair Jaden Daniels with the caliber of receiver that Brandon Ayuk is. But you don't get to just sign up for Brandon Ayuk, the player. You also sign up for Brandon Ayuk, the person. And in a critical year for your young quarterback, when you have done a lot in the offseason to put pieces around your young quarterback, do you want to disrupt your ecosystem with a guy who has been nothing but a big fat question mark at the very best for the last year, even when he's being paid $50 million by the San Francisco 49ers? I'm not signing up for that. Maybe there are teams that say, yeah, whatever, it's worth it. Like, we'll take the off the field issues if it means that we can get on the field production. But I don't think the Commanders are in that situation. I think that kind of laissez-faire attitude comes from a team that is in win now mode, not for a team that's trying to build around their young quarterback.
And the drama, I'm sure, is just beginning, and we'll keep you updated on all of it. Speaking of drama, there's always drama in college football. Is Dabo delusional? We'll tell you next.
Rubido's going to have to stand in there. He's going to take a lot of big hits because they're going to give up pressure.
Fake handoff from the 3, launches, got a man deep, caught, touchdown, New Mexico. Damon Street with the answer.
Watch, there's Rubio gets drilled and just, I mean, poorly timed on the defensive play by So. I mean, or Decius. Decius jumps and the ball's not even there yet, but a great play, though, for New Mexico.
Honestly, do you think you could have continued? Do you think if there was a minute left in the fight, you would have been okay? Meaning, sorry, a minute left in the round, not the end of the round.
So if you look back at it, I got the uppercut. No, if for the people that know my fights, I've been dropped multiple times in different type of fights, in championship fights. And what I do is I get back up, and no matter how much time is left on the clock, I get back up and I end up winning.
What's it mean to you to see your squad still celebrated and embraced like this 40 years later?
It's pretty crazy, to really still see this, and they haven't been in the winning circle since 40 years. It's time that they put it together. 40 years of what this team that I played with, this is like the best team I played on in '86. I played on the '98 Yankees too, but this team here was a team that you just didn't want to mess with.
Felix Harper, 7 of 11 in the first half. The efficiency has been the name of the game for him so far this season. Handoff left side, down the near boards, open space, and JT Stokes in for the touchdown for Fishers. And JT Stokes get a carry off the left side on the first play from scrimmage in the second half and houses it.
Dabo Swinney tells Chris Lowe he's ready to get Clemson back to the top and has no plans to retire to the beach anytime soon. Hell no. I mean, I'm just getting going. I'm right about the same age Nick was when he got to Alabama. So I'm just getting going, man. I love a challenge. And again, all we've done is win. Well, okay, look, Clemson has won a lot of football.
I don't
That's true.
know about that.
But like, this one's tough, right? Because it depends on how we define it. There are some programs that winning 10 games a year over and over and over again would be perceived as tremendous success. There are some programs like the one on the helmet behind you where you sit right now, Caroline, where winning 10 games over and over and over again, but not winning championships is considered as an epic failure. I think so highly of Clemson's football program overall that I like to think that they are a championship or bust type mentality for a program. So have they won a lot? Because it's been a minute since they were right in that thick of things.
When Dabo says all we've done is win, I think that shows that he does not have a very good pulse on the heartbeat of the fan base. Because you brought up my alma mater, it's behind me. I graduated from LSU and I never hide my fandom. When Brian Kelly got up in front of the media and said, "Be happy, we won," even though LSU barely beat a terrible Florida team when DJ Lagway was almost a double agent the number of times he turned the football over, that told me, okay, he's done. Because he doesn't understand the fan base. Because barely beating a terrible Florida team is not good enough around here. Be happy, we won, doesn't fly with this fan base. Just like when Dabo says, all we've done is win, coming off of a 7-6 season when you lost in the Pinstripe Bowl and you went 500 and in conference play in a year where the ACC, honestly, like was what, Duke? In the ACC championship game, you don't understand your fan base. Because at Clemson, it's championship or bust. At Clemson, it's college football playoff or bust. That's the standard that Dabo has set. I acknowledge that. Those expectations are expectations that have been brought about by Dabo Swinney teams. But don't try and save yourself by blowing smoke up everyone's behind. Because that isn't all that you've done is win. Clemson, over the last 4 years, has been unranked in transfer portal rankings, except for 2025 when they were ranked 82nd overall. It's because Dabo hasn't been able to adjust to the world of college football. The new world of college football, should I say. He has pushed back against the transfer portal very, very heavily, except for the 1 year where he took like one wide receiver. So it's hilarious to me to hear Dabo compare himself to Nick Saban. Nick Saban, the ultimate adjuster to the times. Nick Saban, the guy who adapted better than many other coaches that we've seen survive throughout several different iterations and generations of college football. Nick Saban didn't want to embrace high-flying, high-scoring offenses, air raid type of offenses, but he did. Nick Saban didn't want to adjust to NIL transfer portal worlds, but he did. So many times, Nick Saban adapted and adopted and embraced the changes in college football, even though he didn't want to, even though it probably went against his own personal coaching philosophy, because he knew that's what he had to do to win. Dabo Swinney has not done that. Dabo pushes back against the new era of college football and wishes that he could go back to the way that things were. So he just acts like everything now is the way things were and hopes that he can just snap his fingers and that comes in the form of championships. That's not how things work. So unless Dabo truly adapts and truly embraces this new age of college football, he's going to be left behind. And last season is a great example of that.
I look at 2 of the last 3 years have been two of the worst years record-wise for Clemson since they took over. Last year, 7-6. A couple of years before that, 9-4. The only 2 years that were equally in that range were Dabo's first 2 years at Clemson, which was a long time ago. So 2 of the last 3 years haven't been good enough. Since COVID, they've played 1 game in the college football playoff, and they lost that game. So I'm looking at a Clemson team, and I think what makes this, to have nuance to this conversation, to make sure that it's not just piling on Clemson, I'll say this. I believe college football has changed so fundamentally since COVID. I believe the way the game is played, the way the game is recruited, the way the game off the field is handled, the recruiting rankings, the NIL, the transfer portal, all of these things. It has changed so much and so rapidly that unfortunately for many coaches, success that you had 10 years ago doesn't really count anymore. The game is wildly different today than it was just 5 years ago. The way you field a team is wildly different today than it was 5 years ago. And what we're seeing across all college sports, not just college football, is that the changes are coming so fast, you have to be adaptable. I'm not sure there's a lot of proof of concept that Dabo has been adaptable. And I'm not sure there's any proof of concept that in the new world of college football, the way it's recruited, the way it's transferred, the way it's paid today, there's literally no proof that Dabo can win in that climate because that hasn't happened. So while I don't question all of the games Clemson has won for the last several years, they spent an entire generation being wildly dominant. To me, that generation no longer matters because everything has changed so much around college football. If you haven't won in the last 3 or 4 years, you better give me a definitive reason why you're going to win in the next 3 or 4 years because modern college football certainly looks like it's left Dabo and Clemson behind.
I mean, to that point, there's a long list of coaches that have not won national championships versus Dabo, who's won multiple and has gotten Clemson back to even more. There's a lot of coaches who haven't won a national championship that I would take over Dabo today. I would take Marcus Freeman over Dabo Swinney, and I think that would be unanimous. I would take Lane Kiffin over Dabo Swinney, and I don't even really think it's that close. I would take Dan Lanning at Oregon over Dabo Swinney, and that's like not the easiest choice that I could make all day long. Those coaches haven't won national championships, but those coaches have proven that they can win in this era of college football. Those coaches have embraced today's college football. Those coaches have proven that they will utilize the tools at their disposal and do whatever it takes in order to win in today's college football. I don't know that. In fact, I don't think that Dabo Swinney is willing to do that. It might feel like you're playing hardball, might feel like you're playing dirty compared to the rules of old, but this isn't the rules of old. These aren't the rules of old. This is a lawless society of college football. So if you're not willing to, get your hands a little dirty and to do what it takes, what is proven it takes to win in today's college football, then I don't want you to be my head football coach, no matter how many national championships you won.
If every head football coach was available for every job right now, just a wild free market fantasy draft of college football coaches, how long would it take most coaches, teams to get to the point where they're picking Dabo? That's the question I think Clemson fans and Dabo needs to answer. We'll be back tomorrow to answer even more questions and react to all the NBA action. She's Caroline Fenton. I'm Jason Fitz. Thanks for watching Yahoo Sports Daily. Come back tomorrow.